Hello Hockey Nation Live fans, this is STRIATIC with a weekly Kraken report recorded on October 14th for the Hockey Nation Live network. Today we're going to talk about the Kraken's final preseason game, their first two regular season games, and about Shane Wright's status on the team after being a healthy scratch in regular season game 2 versus the Los Angeles Kings. So for the last preseason game in Edmonton, Seattle brought a full NHL roster to counter Edmonton's full NHL roster. The scoring opened on a Daniel Sprong goal from in tight to the side of Jack Campbell. The goal was a little bit dirty, but Sprong had just signed a two-way contract off of PTO, and this hard-fighting goal was a good opening bid in his fight for a full roster spot. The goal had Kraken outshooting the Oilers 9-3 to start the first period, and they did this using aggressive forechecking and offensive zone pressure from carefully pinching D to stymie the Oilers' attempts to assemble and break out. After the goal, though, the dominant period for the Kraken turned as they awoke the beast that is the Edmonton Oilers offense. The Oilers ultimately evening up the shots on a Tyson Barrie high slot power play goal through traffic just at the end of the period. And this was set up by a really sweet low to high pass from Leon Draisaitl. The second period saw Matty Benier's goal after Andrei Burakovsky hit the post. He had a wide open net after a Carson Soucy pass, but the rebound popped off the post to Matty Beniers on the other side of the net. He put it in, and it was his fourth goal in 4 preseason games. And that had the Kraken regain the lead. But in the third period, the Oilers' talent just completely took over the game. They had 4 goals in the final frame, and it started with just some beautiful tic-tac-toe passing. Tyson Barrie from the high slot, down low to Connor McDavid, who just made a really tight one-timer pass through the crease to Jesse Puljujarvi for a chip-in over Grubauer's leg. What do you do about that? It was gorgeous. Grubauer probably could have done something on the next goal, though, where he basically scored on himself. Trying to shoot the puck down the ice, it hit Leon Draisaitl and bounced directly into his own net, putting the Oilers up 1. The Kraken did manage to equalize, though. Jared McCann was left alone on the power play at the top of the circles. He kind of drifted in and was one-on-one versus Jack Campbell from a moderately dangerous distance and just sniped it top corner. But unfortunately, the very next shift, a response goal, like so many that had frustrated Kraken fans last year. A response goal, Leon Draisaitl gained zone, beauty pass through loose defense to an unmarked Evander Kane, and that gave the Oilers the lead. There was so many flashbacks to last year there with the response goal, Kraken taking their foot off the gas and having teams come back on them like that. Not good. Connor McDavid added an empty net goal, and we ended with a 5-3 game. The start of the game was so dominant, and the end was so worrying. The Kraken looked really tired at the end of the game. I felt that the Oilers really took control of the game using their passing, both in the normal flow of play and also on scoring plays. Their efficient puck movement through that passing left the Oilers fresher than the Kraken to finish the game. And the Oilers' higher tempo offensive zone passing just was creating fantastic scoring opportunities that they consistently finished, and the Kraken didn't have anything that could match that. So that left the Kraken with a 4-win, 2-loss record in preseason. Fortunately, during the game, Jaden Schwartz had a leg injury, and he only played 7 minutes. RJ from Emerald City Hockey reported that Schwartz was limping around the practice facility the next day, but Schwartz was able to recover and get back on the ice to play with the team opening night. Less fortunate, perhaps, was Daniel Sprong, who started missing practices after that last preseason game. It turns out that this had to do with some issues with immigration paperwork, and it was just really sad and probably very frustrating for him after such a solid preseason and a goal in that final preseason game, for him to miss it on multiple practices and ultimately maybe even an NHL roster spot due to issues with immigration paperwork. So that brings us to the season opener versus Anaheim. Anaheim is a Pacific Division rival that struggled a bit last year, and I think Kraken fans are kind of hoping that the Kraken are able to leapfrog them this year. But the game did not start off well. It started off with a first shift turnover behind the net by Jamie Alexiak. A couple of quick little passes, Strom, McTavish to Terry in the low slot, and the Kraken were immediately down by 1 goal. The Kraken did manage to hit back on the power play, though. Jared McCann, again, like that last game against the Oilers, left with time at the top of the circle, just floated down, sniped glove side on Gibson. And then after that, yet another power play goal. This time from Burakovsky, pretty much the same location as the McCann goal, except he went glove side on Gibson. And then after that, another power play goal. This one was from Bjorkstrand, and again, from the same top of the circles, he was a little bit more slippery than the first two. He kind of like found a seam in the defense and got to the center slot and fired a bullet past Wenberg's screen. There was not a lot of passing skill evidence on these goals. Basically, the penalty kills were just giving up these, moderate danger looks, and against the set goalie, the Kraken finishing skill was making consistent work of those opportunities. So, looked pretty good. 3 power play goals in a row after the power play struggled so much last year. 2 of them were from new acquisitions. Looking like Ron Francis is a genius, and the team's up 3-1. But then Ryan Donato got an offensive zone hooking call, and on that PK, the Kraken overcommitted on a rush. Will Borgen joined in on the rush chance, and then Anaheim was coming back the other way, 2-on-1. McTavish, beautiful saucer pass over a sprawling Susie for a Strom chip in. And the Kraken did manage to regain the 2-goal lead. Jaden Schwartz taking a couple shots, again from that surrendered middle ozone, this time from the right side circle. And the second rebound was collected by Matty Beniers down low for his 5th goal in 5 games, if you include the preseason. So then they're up by 2, but then, just like the last game, at the end, everything fell apart. It started with giving up a high slot snipe from a floating Vetrano, and that put the Ducks within 1. And then Ryan Donato took his second hooking call of the game, this time in the defensive zone. Everything went wrong. Well, it looked like everything was going right on this penalty kill. They had Tanev pressuring the high man on the power play, forcing a bad pass. Gord cleared it out of the zone. Tanev subs off, and Alex Wenberg comes on. I think he may have been tired. He ended up playing almost 20 minutes in the game, but he comes onto the penalty kill and just looks so flat-footed. Grubauer was also like way over to the right side of his crease trying to look around traffic, and Troy Terry ended up floating down, using all the traffic in front as a screen to disguise his no-look pass over to Trevor Zegras, who put it away. It was a pretty brutal way to have the game tied up. Game went to overtime. Adam Larson got on a breakaway, failed on his breakaway chance. John Gibson collects the puck and throws the puck down the ice to a streaking Troy Terry, who gets an overtime winner breakaway goal on Philip Grubauer. The Kraken actually set a franchise record for most shots in a game at 48 in this game, but they still lost. They also only allowed 27 shots against, but there were 5 goals against, so this had some Kraken fans kind of upset at Grubauer. I think on most of the goals he didn't have much of a chance, but there were a couple there, including the last one, where I think some of his pre-shot positioning was a bit off, and it could have helped him make the save later if he'd been positioned a little bit better initially. All right, so not a lot of time between that and the next game. Back-to-back games on the road to start the season. The second game was versus Los Angeles, and the Kraken decided to healthy scratch Shane Wright after he had only played 6 minutes against Anaheim, bringing in Morgan Geekie down from the press box, with goalie Martin Jones getting the start for the Kraken. So the Kraken got on track early with a good cross-seam pass on the power play from Burakovsky to Eberle, set up a shot, went off Quick's pad, juicy rebound goal for Jaden Schwartz, and the power play that was so good in the first game of the season kept on clicking. Fortunately then, another callback to the last game, Jamie Alexiak had a bobble behind the net, similar to the one he had against Anaheim on the first goal against. This time it was off kind of a messy D-to-D pass behind the net from Adam Larson on the penalty kill. Alex that I followed just stole the puck and nifty wraparound playoff goal, power play goal. It then looked like Matty Beniers had scored his 6th goal in 6 games, including the preseason, but it was disallowed as it was deemed to have been played off a high stick. Brandon Tanev scored an improbable goal. He charged the side of the net from below the goal line with a really innocent shot in tight, but it deflected off an LA stick up high over a generally well-positioned Jonathan Quick. And then just as a Kraken power play was ending, Alex Wenberg put the Kraken up by 2. Similar to Tanev, he just jammed the puck in tight on a seemingly well-positioned Quick. And this time it didn't really deflect off anything, but it found its way through Quick's 5-hole. Kraken in pretty good position, and Adam Larsson sealed the game with an empty net goal. So I would say Seattle's power play continued clicking along. They were 1 for 6, but the Wenberg goal was basically a power play goal. They did, however, fail to convert on a really extended 5-on-3 opportunity they had late in the game. That was unfortunate. Maybe something for them to practice. It was a really chippy game, and the Kraken set what I think is a franchise record, 44 hits. At one point, Drew Doughty chopped the back of Adam Larsson's leg and seemed to injure Larsson, but Larsson did manage to stay in the game and eventually get that empty net goal. And then the game ended in a short line brawl with both the goalies, Jones and Quick, threatening to join the fray, but ultimately deciding that discretion was the better part of valor, and they stayed out of it while the officials cleaned things up. It was really not that dangerous in terms of high danger chances from LA. It was a game that was definitely within Martin Jones's wheelhouse. He looked dominant and very comfortable. And it was good after watching 2 third-period collapses in the previous 2 games to see the Kraken really play a full 60-minute game leading into their home opener. Which brings us to Shane Wright. Shane Wright was a healthy scratch, of course, against LA. He did not have a good game against Edmonton in that last preseason game. I think he went 0-4 and 4 high danger chances against in the last game. He didn't get any shots. His preseason face-off percentage was sub 30%. But in the season opening game, I thought he played pretty well. He sawed off on high danger chances, and he, had a positive Corsi and, no shots. But, in the 6 minutes he had, he, looked comfortable and was creating more than he was giving up, he and his line mate. But I think, Morgan Geekie coming in, Morgan Geekie can play a similarly defensive game, but he also penalty kills. And he led the team last year with 53% in the face-off circle. So Haxel did have praise for Shane Wright's game against Anaheim, but, said he wanted to get Morgan Geekie into the lineup and that it's a competition. And it'll be interesting to see if Shane Wright is able to win this competition when he doesn't have the penalty killing and face-off background that Morgan Geekie does. A lot of Kraken fans are a little bit frustrated. They see that, such limited ice time and then a healthy scratch could stunt Wright's development somewhat. But on the other hand, when Francis said that Wright was going to, they were going to try to have Wright play the full season, Francis also said that, they might need to manage things, which I think may have been code for press box time. So we'll see how things turn out in the next few games, whether Wright is able to get himself back into the lineup for the home opener, whether he's able to get himself back into the lineup after that. It's going to be an interesting journey. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good day.